What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video, and today we've got the bolt-on e-bike killer back out. We're going to be doing a ground clearance video. This is the Paradox Kinetics motor. A lot of people are asking the questions about if it's even going to hit the ground or hit any objects when you're going over it. So today we're going to go over that. I've got a ruler we're going to pull out to be able to measure the ground clearance from the motor itself to the ground, and then the motor itself to any objects that we're coming up to that might potentially scrape it. But I don't think we're going to have to worry about any of that because we have a 4mm thick aluminum casing, 7075 aluminum with carbon fiber over top of that. So we might even use this as an actual bash guard to get over objects. So from the last video, I actually ended up putting on this frame battery versus the one that I had in the backpack before. So quick little plug in and we are ready to go. I still do need to kind of get rid of this whole cable setup. I did order a wireless dropper post, so we'll at least clean that up a little bit. First obstacle. Perfect. So we just came up on this log section, and one of the biggest concerns everyone had was clearance over objects like that. Got the ruler right here. We're going to talk about the clearance on how tall this actual log is in the middle and the clearance of the motor to the ground real quick. Got my trusty kickstand right there to be able to hold up the bike, but as you can see, the motor is tucked higher than the actual chainring that sits behind this section right here. So that can also act as like a bash guard as well as your motor because it can withstand the impact. We're going to measure out the distance between the motor and the ground on my bike. This is going to be different depending on what type of bike you ride, what your setup is normally. And normally a motor that comes on an e-bike sits lower than the sprocket chainring itself. So you're more likely to have clipped that. I kind of wish I had a bike here today to be able to display that, to be able to show you, but we're going to use mine as an example to be able to show you why the Paradox Kinetics motor is definitely one to get. This isn't level ground by any means. I'm actually sitting on a slant, so it might kind of play a factor on what the ground clearance should be, but just for experimental concerns before we end up going over this obstacle as well as a bunch of other ones, I'm going to show you the ground clearance that we're working with now, and if I have anything to overlay the ground clearance of what my bike was previously, I'll put that on the screen as well. Now the ground clearance from the motor to the ground is roughly, let's see, let's push that down there, 11 inches. Now 11 inches of ground clearance is pretty damn good because on most bikes, even if you didn't have an e-bike motor, 11 inches, you might not even get that ground clearance on a standard bike without an e-bike motor. So let's rip it over this log, and then we're going to kind of rip it through the trails and see what we can find. Now remember, your suspension setup has everything to do with your ground clearance. As you saw there, I did drag a little bit, but I have it on medium. I didn't want to put it on firm because I kind of want to be able to really feel these trails and just see what we can get into. So let's go on to the next obstacles, and hopefully I can find something where I really put a lot of impact on this motor to just show you guys that it's a beast. We've reached some really sick obstacles. You can see straight ahead there are a ton of logs. We're gonna go ride by them real quick, show you guys what to kind of look forward to before we end up going over them. But yeah, these things are a lot of fun. Even before I had the Paradox motor, I could get over these no problem. This one's gonna be a good one because of the ground clearance that we were talking about earlier. Very cool. A lot of people hack this one, damn. Another good one. And we got 2 more down here. So I feel like it's a lot of impact to be able to put on this motor to be able to show you guys that it can withstand a beating, an absolute beating. So we're gonna turn around and we are going to get a first run at it. I'm gonna hit this thing pretty hard. Don't be surprised at the noises this thing makes. Yeah, smash. No issues. Let's see the bottom of it real quick. As you can see right here, the impact didn't do anything to it. I mean, I think that initial crack that you heard was the difference between the materials with the carbon fiber and the wood just kind of making a weird noise. I mean, I couldn't find any cracked joints on the body of this thing, which is absolutely insane. The aluminum construction definitely helped out with this one. I got one more thing though. This is gonna be kind of like really putting it to the test. There's like a little teeter-totter. I'm gonna call it a teeter-totter. The section right there, the middle section between these 2 obstacles here, that, I don't think it's really supposed to be ridden. So I think we should just do like a quick little wheelie, land on the motor, kind of teeter-totter and make our way over. And I think that'd be a really good impact test. Absolutely insane. All right, now transitioning over to a set of trails that I grew up riding BMX on. These things are pretty run down, but there are a couple of fun little obstacles, like this little guy right here. This is like a long and low, 2 little rollers. I'm gonna jump that, like a nice hard pump. I'm gonna set up a camera there, and there is what used to be a tabletop right there. Now that's actually a double now. All these other doubles are pretty run down. This one would be fun if I had access to it, but there are like tarps and logs and stuff, and I'm not messing with any of this stuff. We're just going to get a couple of the good jumps in here, and I'm going to set up a camera on the landing so I can put a slow-mo so you can see how far down my frame compresses, so you guys get a better idea if the actual motor will hit, you know, or bottom out if you end up doing any jumps, which I don't foresee that actually happening. After this, I'm going to try to look for a drop-off, maybe like a loading dock, just to get a nice slow-mo of it just compressing to go down to the ground. So let's get a couple jumps here, and then we'll go to that location. Now I'm pumping to get as much pop out of that as I can. It's pretty soft right now, so I'm gonna set this camera up at another angle just to get a little bit better of an idea so you can see how much I'm compressing down when I land. I don't really feel like it makes any difference. I feel the same as I did before I even had the motor on. Now overall that felt pretty good. To give a little bit of context on how far the gap is, it's really not that big. It's a little bit bigger than a bike length. So there's a takeoff right there, landing over there. Gives you a better idea on how far I'm actually traveling. I do have my suspension set up to medium, like I said earlier, so your suspension and your body weight is predicated if you will actually end up bottoming out or scraping the motor. So far, no issues. I did pump like as hard as I could down the landing when I did that last jump, and it didn't really even get that close. It didn't get any closer than it normally would when I was jumping on the regular trails. I did pump as hard as I possibly could when coming down the landing to see if I could compress it to even get it to scrape or bottom out at all. So we're gonna move on to the next location. I'm gonna try to find a picking table or a loading dock of some sort to try to see if I could actually get it to bottom out, and I will be playing with the suspension when I get there. Right now, like I said, I have it on medium firm, no different than I would on any other trails or jump setup. When I get to that section where we're gonna do a drop, we're actually gonna try to get to that point where we can bottom it out. So I'll probably put it on the softest setting last and we'll ease our way there. So let's get to the next location. Maybe it'll be a skate park, maybe it'll just be an open parking lot, who knows. All right, I'm at my local skate park right now. This will be the drop. This is a grind ledge I usually use in my BMX videos, roughly about 3.5 feet. I'm gonna use a couple different forms of suspension. So right now I'm gonna be on the medium firm, just to give you an idea on the compression rate. All right, so the skate park is getting kind of crowded right now, but all three of the settings that my suspension has to offer, we're using that right there, so you can kind of get an idea on what the suspension is like doing drops. Like I said, that's about 3.5 foot tall drop. No issues with the motor bottoming out. No issues so far. If anything, I just need to take this thing to an actual mountain bike park and really put this thing to the test. So if you guys have any questions involving this Paradox motor, put them in the comments below. If you guys have any other suggestions featuring this thing and you guys want to see more videos on it, definitely let me know in the comments. With that being said, if you guys like this video, drop a like. If you love it, hit the subscribe button, and I'll catch you in the next one.